Feedback just keeps pouring in, and we have some changes. First of all, as you can see, we've changed the screen to make it a little easier for viewing. Make it black. I really like what we received unintentionally with a technical glitch. Thank you very much, Microsoft, for giving us this beautiful depth of complete darkness. I think it's very useful, and we're going to be using it at least for a little while. Secondly, we have some information about this allow. Some people like it better to say that when you allow things out of the unknown and then allow them back into the unknown, which is to say that first you allow them to arise and then allow them to pass away, that makes a lot of sense. Other people find that to say that when you allow things into your experience and then allow things out of your experience, which is to say that you allow them to arise and then allow them to pass away, that makes more sense. The important point here is that either way of saying it is fine, but there are two skills that we are discussing. Two skills are being cultivated. Two skills are essential. Allowing has two different aspects, both of which must be cultivated, whichever way you like to put it. One way or the other doesn't really matter. Different people like it different ways, and we'll just keep on taking the feedback. Another point here is that focusing also could be seen in different ways. You can say that you focus out, meaning that you focus irrelevant things out of your experience. Or you can say that you focus in to begin, meaning that you focus in on a certain thing. The other way to do it is to say that you, once you've focused things out, that you then focus in on a certain thing in order to increase the clarity with which you see it. The other way to do it, of course, is to say that once you have focused in on something, see it clearly, you then focus on it until it begins to reveal itself to you, until it begins to come out, you could say, in its various aspects, its details and its qualities begin to come out into your awareness. Again, different ways of putting it. The point isn't, have it this way, you can just spin those around and have it that way. The point is not that we get attached to some particular thing, some particular idea, some particular framework. The point is that these symbols ought to be useful, and that these symbols contain a great deal of information, and the fact that you can look at these in so many different ways shows how much information can be contained here if we look closely. Last time we looked at flow, which was wonderful. This time we're going to be looking deeply at rest, or nothing. This is a very significant experience. It's a deeply calming, tranquil experience, and when we imagine spirituality of different kinds, we often imagine it as a tranquil experience. When we walk into a church, for example, sometimes it's extremely silent when we walk in. Remember, I walked into a cathedral recently and it was completely silent, and the fact of the silence immediately felt spiritual. I have the same experience with the woods. I love spending time alone in the woods, and I do that a few days a week in order to revitalize myself. And the silence, especially if it's snowy, especially in the snow, snow absorbs the sound and it's completely silent, and I love it, and that feels quite spiritual. So these examples are illustrations of hearing nothing or hearing rest, which we call silence or quiet. Another common experience is that we feel nothing or feel rest, and this is a technical term. Don't get too caught up on the phrasing. It just means that you're relaxed or at emotional peace. And the sense of peace is also something that many people consider to be spiritual. And the term peace and quiet is very common for a pleasant experience and even a spiritual experience. When we move deep into our meditation, it's common that a person would think that that would be a relaxing experience and that our emotions would calm down and have a pleasant experience of emotional peace or physical relaxation. This is very commonly very available for people. Something that isn't as well known is seeing nothing or seeing rest. What is that? Well, in many kinds of meditation, a person is asked to defocus their eyes, look off into the distance without focusing on anything, so that you're looking but you're not seeing anything in particular. Another thing you can do is close your eyes. Often in meditation people close their eyes, or when they pray, close their eyes, and then you don't see anything. Now, if you want to, you can even look at the back of your eyelids, and even then you won't see anything in particular except a blank screen. So we can call this light in the way that we think of light when someone has a spiritual experience. Sometimes they say they see a great white light, or the Tibetans often talk about the clear light of the void. You see a bright light. You can also see, like what we have here, this black, and some spiritual teachings say that the brilliant light of spirituality is totally black. This darkness or the brightness, either way, this is seeing nothing or seeing rest, whether your eyes are open or closed. This experience is highly significant. When a person is having a hard time, it's a very good idea often to direct them towards rest. One of the initial exercises for most people who I work with is to find relaxation, physical relaxation. There are other ways that we can work with this. Perhaps a person has a lot of internal chatter in their mind. Then you can direct their attention to listening to the silence in the room around them. If they really listen for a place in the room that's completely silent, for a moment at least, their mind will be directed away from the internal chatter. A person will have an experience of thinking about something that happened or something that they wish will happen. They regret happened or something that they hope will not happen. In any case, it's possible to direct their attention to the blank screen behind their eyes and move attention away from that. Just like looking at this blackness right here. It's one of the reasons I enjoy this black. It's deep and profound, and we get a sense of that depth, profundity, when we observe rest or nothing. Now, something quite special about this is that it is inherently equanimous, which is to say that inherent within rest is a tendency towards allowing anything that comes up. I was brought up Quaker. It's a form of Protestant Christianity in which we come together and meet in silent worship. When we have that experience of silence together, it's quite profound, and we come to a point of allowing anything to arise, anything to pass away, and in so doing, a deep wisdom often comes to us. Become aware of something very deep. So this experience For example, this experience you could call a technique. In listening to silence very deeply, we come to allow anything to come and go. We get to a point where anything is allowed to come into our experience and pass away. Anything is allowed to come out of the unknown and return to it. And in so doing, we release a deep wisdom from within that can reveal itself to us in the form not of rest, but in the form of allowing talk to occur within ourselves, so that internal chatter gains a sense of wisdom, and that wisdom is very powerful in becoming a kind of guidance in our lives. This allowing quality is very powerful. It allows rest to become a source of wisdom. This nothingness can become something, and that is very significant, because when nothing can become something, when we come to the point where nothing is allowed to blossom, it always becomes the most perfect side of ourselves, the God within us, the Buddha nature within us. That brilliant conscience is given life in our activity, and we become capable of living our highest potential, serving others and becoming deeply fulfilled in living our lives. So the significant aspect of rest is both that it's extremely pleasant. Strange that nothing would be so pleasant, either because we're experiencing relaxation, or because we're listening to silence, or because we're looking at that great bright light reported in so many traditions, whether that light is white or black. And also that rest is inherently filled with equanimity, with the power of allowing. That skill is cultivated inherently just in experiencing the deep nothing. And when we allow nothing fully, it becomes something. What does it become? Well, it becomes something inconceivably good, something that we can't intentionally create, and yet which comes out of us and is trustworthy and powerful. So this is the introduction to rest, and as a person learns to focus on it both by focusing in on it and then focusing on it in such a way that it comes out to us, that it reveals itself to us, a deep understanding is cultivated.